Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Start a couple minutes early, make sure this is working. Awesome. Thank you. We'll give it a couple minutes before we get into the meat and potatoes of it. But wait till 4 o'clock Honolulu time, 7 p.m. Best Coast time. You guys, I hope you can be patient with me. It's hard to do this with the chat solo. It's much easier with two people. One person can kind of monitor the questions and stuff. So I'll do my best to get to everything and whatnot. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Kevin, you're on a flight right now, Kevin. Wild man. I'll get to, like, you guys might have to ask some questions later when I kind of say, okay, kind of open questions. I'll try to, but there's like some things I want to talk about first, and it's easy to get distracted trying to like answer people's questions while I'm trying to address what we're here to address. Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so we can do it. Matthew Scarlett is watching, and I love you, Matthew Scarlett. So I'm in Honolulu, Hawaii, if you guys didn't know. Hawaii is fantastic. Oahu is very, very incredible place. I'll start out by saying that what I'm not going to be talking about today is the collapse of my marriage. I've said enough on that subject, and there will be sort of like brutally personal information about that in my book when it comes out. But today, that's a subject that's not getting addressed at all. I'll talk about pretty much anything else, but that is not happening. So let's talk about what the plan is. As many of you know, I had originally considered shipping the boat back for a variety of reasons. It's much cheaper to, well, originally, I mean, my plan was to like spend a year in Mexico and head south from there. That was the original plan. The other thing was it's much cheaper material-wise on the mainland. I have access to an unbelievable shop where I can fabricate my own everything there. A whole range of reasons. Hawaii is very, very, very expensive for everything. Food, lodging, materials. It's hard to get materials. This is not an easy place. If you live here, it's easier because you have kind of a longer run with it, but it's not an easy place to be if you're on a tight budget, and I'm on a very tight budget. So that was one of the main factors as to why I was considering shipping the boat back. The shipping company would not answer any emails or any calls, and the more I looked into it, the more it became kind of apparent to me that that reason might be because of this massive backlog that's happening on the West Coast and specifically Los Angeles, where there are currently 90 cargo ships sitting off the coast. Captain David Stovall told me that they have ships that they're just telling them to turn the engines off and they're just coasting offshore because there's no anchorages left. And because one of the boats anchored and caused that oil spill in Huntington. So all my research pointed that Triteia might get stuck on a cargo ship for 3 to 4 months if I got her on a cargo ship. So that's a big non-option. And another thing was like, I was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. So currently the plan is I'm going to stay here in Hawaii until spring, and I will either rebuild the rudder here, or I looked into having one fabricated on the mainland, and Finco, a company that Captain Noah Peffer has used before, they quoted me $3,500, which I think is fair, including the new tiller shaft and everything. And the somebody else on YouTube kept telling me Foss Foams. So I called Foss Foams the other day. They quoted me $10,000, between $5,000 and $10,000 for a new rudder. I know that I can make one. I believe the materials would cost me probably $2,000. But would it be as quality as like what Finco is going to make? Absolutely not. But the other problem with Finco, other than the fact it's $3,500, which is a lot of money, is that they want me to pull what's left of my old rudder and get it to them, and so that they can build off of that. So more and more, it's looking like I'll just make my own rudder here. The only issue with that is I have to find a place to build it. I might be able to rent some kind of space at the what do you call it? Like at the boatyard here, or I might just rent like a storage shed. And you know, I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that. But Metal, which I don't know if Metal is on here yet, but she suggested I bring the old rudder back to LA and rebuild it there, where I have access to everything and like a big shop and everything, which isn't a bad idea, because I was like, how am I going to do that? And she was like, well, it's not that much bigger than a snowboard. And I was like, well, you're not wrong. So I don't know. There's a couple of options. But the long and short of it is I'm staying here until April. At some point, the boat will be totally out of commission for a month or so while I build the new rudder. And then I'll be doing like sea trials around Oahu, and then I'll start doing inter-island travel. Anyone who follows me on Instagram knows that I've been anchoring out all over the place here. So I did a temporary repair on the rudder when my dear friend Sarah was here. She helped me, handed me all kinds of stuff. I had stainless steel strap tangs made, and I hammered those into place underwater. I used a hand drill. I hand drilled through the rudder, through bolted it, and then I left one ratchet strap just for giggles on there. And with that setup, I went to Waikiki and anchored, and then I went to Pokai Bay and anchored, and then I went all the way to Makua, which was unbelievably beautiful. And then I went back to heading back down. I stopped at Electric Beach, which was the best snorkeling I've ever been in my life. I got to swim with sharks by accident, and spinner dolphins and everything. And then I came back to Alawai. So, and I'm still going to be continuing doing explorations of Oahu with my temporary fix. So that's what's happening on the grand scheme, the grand picture. Now, let's talk about what I'm going to do in April. I really believe in April I'll be sailing to the South Pacific. I thought about Alaska and the South Pacific. The reason I'm hesitant with the South Pacific is because so many places are closed, and it's just like that would be a bummer to go to that region and only get to go to a handful of countries. But it seems like a lot of stuff's going to start opening up in the spring. So I'm leaning towards that. Like my first passage would probably be from here to the Line Islands or here to the Marquesas. Yeah, then I'll just like check my way through. And it sounds like New Zealand's going to be opening back up. So I'll head over to New Zealand and Australia if they open back up, and then keep going from there. And that would be a big chunk of my circumnavigation knocked out, which is pretty cool. So, you know, and again, who knows? Plans change. I have to get a rudder that works. I have to do like serious repairs to my sails. I have to rebuild my wind vane. So there's a lot to sort of suss out between now and then. But I have no intention on staying in Hawaii past the spring, because I worked this hard to go cruising and not just sail to another place and settle down. So that's what's up so far. And let me see what else. I wrote down some things to talk about. Frequently asked questions. Let's knock this out. All my little brothers on there. I love you, Scott Tillery. Um, and Connor says Ireland. Yeah, I'll be there eventually. Okay, so let's talk about some frequently asked questions. Yes, I'm going to come to Brazil for sure. For sure. Frequently asked questions in regards to the passage video, which thanks everyone that has watched it and commented. I'm really shocked at the response. There's almost 500,000 views in a month and like 2,000 comments. It's impossible for me to keep up with the comments, so I apologize. But it's yeah, it's been so wild. But so the number one question I get is that what happened with Cito? Okay, so here's what happened with Cito and the Coast Guard and no one towing me in when I was in desperate need of being towed in after 32 days at sea. Captain David Stovall called in the Cito. I contacted him in Iridium Go and I was like, hey, will you call in my Cito for me? He says, no, he had already offered. So he says, okay. He calls it in. He speaks to the 1-800 number with Towboat US, speaks to the corporate dispatcher. Corporate dispatcher says, no problem. He's covered under the gold plan. We're going to dispatch a boat. Take care of him. 5 minutes later, as I said on the video, Coast Guard calls me on the radio and is like, no one's coming for you. So basically, the deal is there's one towboat for all of Hawaii. And if he doesn't answer the phone, the corporate dispatcher just calls the Coast Guard and is like, there's no one to tow whoever is in need. And for whatever reason, in Hawaii, the Coast Guard won't help you and won't tow you. Now, I'm not going to badmouth the Coast Guard. They do a lot of amazing stuff. They save a lot of amazing people. But I was shocked that they didn't offer to like send one of their fast boats out and even just tow me in the last little bit past the reefs into the safe harbor. I don't know. I'm not badmouthing the Coast Guard, everybody. Don't get your panties in a wad. But I was very shocked at that. And eventually, like after I was under anchor, the dude from the towboat company called me back. He's like, "Oh, I'm on Maui. Yeah, I wasn't even in phone range or whatever." And so basically, it's like you're just kind of on your own. And I am like so indebted to Mike for saving my ass and like coming and towing me in. And he's been a good buddy to me since I've been here. Taking me out seeing turtles. We talk all the time. He's given me a ton of great advice. Told me about where anchorages are and stuff. But yeah, I was very shocked. So if you plan on coming to the Hawaiian Islands, just know that don't count on anything like that. Like chances are you're on your own if things go wild. And I've definitely kept that in my mind cruising around the islands with my temporary repair. I'm like, I can't count that anyone's going to save me. So I need to be very careful about what I'm doing. So that's the one. That's the first big question that's always asked. The next one was people are like, well, didn't you have an auxiliary rudder on your wind vane? Why didn't you use that? Okay. Yes, my wind vane has an auxiliary rudder. And I did use it for the entire 2,300 miles. That rudder is like, that big. It's like, it's way too small to control all the weather helm on a boat this size. That rudder works perfect to steer the boat when you're under motor when there's no sail up, but it is by no means powerful enough to override the weather helm that's taking place compared to the giant keel attached rudder. So, everybody is like, so many people are like, I just don't understand why you just didn't use the auxiliary rudder. I'm like, I did use the auxiliary rudder, but it's like putting a butter knife in the back of off the stern versus a giant barn door. And that brings me to another thing. People are like, well, I would have just strapped a board on a pole and just shove it down there and I'd have steered happily drinking a cocktail all the way to Hawaii. I would love to eat popcorn and watch someone try to rig that up. because the loads that happen at sea are immense. And I know that people have done it. I know it's possible, but it's not as like cut and dry and easy as people are like, the armchair sailors are saying it is. So yeah, uh, in a pinch, yeah, you could do that if you had to, but the drug was like very responsive, much easier, and far less likely to break. Like I could see like a giant lashed on rudder like that completely destroying your pulpit, your stern pulpit, because of the loads they're totally insane. How much power there is in raging following seas. So there's that. Everybody's telling me to go to Alaska. Who knows? I might end up in Alaska. If I did, I'd go to the Aleutians. But what else? Okay. What did I hit? I have no idea what I hit. It was underwater. All I know is that there was a large red mark. There was damage to the rudder, and I'm certain that led to the eventual failure of the rudder. What else? Why are you? Oh, I wrote these all down. Why are you so disgusting? This is pretty common. People, for some reason, well, let's talk about this. For some reason, a lot of straight men on here are very concerned about my appearance. Now, I don't know why that's anyone's concern, but to counter that, I'm going to be doing an episode very soon talking about the history of tattooing and how it relates to sailing and the history of body modification. I don't think that it will solve all the trolls, but I definitely think that it might help educate some people, because I've had some people comment and be like, just looking at you, I would have never even watched your channel. But like someone the other day heard me on the Ocean Cruising podcast and didn't know what I looked like, and then checked it out, and he was like, I would have never ever watched your show because of the way you look. But since I heard you on the podcast, then I went ahead and checked it out. So hopefully like an educational video talking about the history of body modification and tattooing will help some people that are like that to be like, okay, maybe I need to have a different perspective on this. So that's that. Oh, is that? Oh, that is Chance. What's up, Chance? My good buddy since childhood. So let's see. What else was I gonna say? I guess we can open it up to. I'll try to. There's no way I'm gonna be able to catch up on all y'all's crazy comments, but on this chat here. But is anybody has any questions that aren't too crazy? I'll be happy to answer them. Until then, I'll just ramble. Hawaii is fantastic. The anchorages here have been completely insane, and I'm hoping to get around to the east side to Kaneohe very soon. Someone just said different wind vane. Yeah, that's the thing. If anyone sees a used hydro vane for sale that's reasonably priced and you don't need it for your boat, please shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll try to figure out if I can afford to swing it. Otherwise, I just have to rebuild this one because I just don't have $8,000 for a new hydro vane, and I would not at this point have a wind vane that wasn't an auxiliary rudder. Yeah, I will be going to Kauai at some point, and I've been looking into going to the French frigate shoals. I'm not sure what goes into that, what it was required, but I'm definitely interested in heading over there before I leave Hawaii for good. Someone asked if I'm able to find work in Hawaii. Yeah, I can drive like snorkel tour boats because I'm a licensed captain. I actually looked into that kind of early on. So what else? Someone just asked, was my sail to Hawaii recent? Yeah, it was like 2 months ago. I've only been here 2 months. My new rig is holding up gorgeous. I went to tune her today, and the only thing I had to tune was the backstay. It was like everything else was like within range. I was super stoked. the rig did really good on that whole crazy passage. Let me see what else you guys are saying. And again, thanks to everybody who watched the passage video. One more thing I'll say about the passage video. I've actually submitted it to the Tribeca Film Festival and the Santa Barbara Film Festival and a couple other film festivals. I'm going to be doing a separate edit that's more like film festival friendly with footage that wasn't in that or the outtakes. So hopefully I can get it into some film festivals, which would be cool. And someone's asking, do I look forward to my next passage trip? I look forward to eventually. Yeah, I wouldn't be like super happy to do it tomorrow. I want to explore every anchorage on all of these islands before I leave here. So I'm glad that I have until April to do that. What else? What are y'all saying over here? Yeah, someone said North swells are coming now. That's the thing is like I want to get to Kaneohe and try to get to the North Shore before, because I'm getting closed out. Winter's coming, and then there's no going up there. But I'm just gonna do my best. Carlos, what's up? My boy Carlos just chimed in. He just got his new Triteia shirt today. There's a new shop. People were asking me for merch, so there's an embedded shop on the YouTube channel now. I'll be putting up the new Hawaii logo shirt in this weekend, hopefully. Me and Carlos, I love Carlos. I've scared him 1 billion times throughout all our years of friendship. We toured Europe together, did music together for years. And I love that dude. He's going to come out and see me here in Hawaii before I leave. Thank you so much, Chico. That's going to go straight to this rudder scenario. What else? Let me think. I am currently formatting all of the tracker blogs into a paperback book, similar to my 6 Days on the Hook book. Captain David Stovall kind of laid everything out for that and was like, hey, you should really publish these as like a simple paperback print on demand like you did your other book. And so he edited it for me. He wrote the foreword, and we're getting that published print on demand like my other book. That should be out pretty soon. I've been working every day on the formatting, and there'll be the blog entry on one page and then a photo on every single page. So it'll kind of give these snippets. Would be nice just laying around. Someone mentioned Sam. Yeah, me and Sam have been buddies since he bought his Ranger was tied up like 3 slips from mine, and I really enjoyed his podcast the other day on the Wind. It was funny. Knowing like Andy and knowing Sam and knowing that they didn't know each other was funny to listen to that interview. Thank you, Hippie Chick, for hanging out for years. Appreciate it. From Brazil. That's awesome. What else? When did I start learning to sail? I talk about a lot of that stuff on the Wind podcast. But I learned how to sail in 2014 in the Orkney Isles of Scotland on a very cool boat under a legendary Captain Celia Bull. What else? Have you guys been watching the Onshore Adventures that Sarah's on? It was so fun. It's funny because like during the passage before the rudder went out, I had asked Sarah, I was like, hey, do you want to like meet me in Oahu for a week so I don't have to explore by myself? Tickets were like $200 round trip, but that was before anything. Like originally I thought I was going to land in Hilo, work my way through the island, and then she was going to be here for like 5 days. We were going to do like, onshore adventures. And then the way everything worked out, I hadn't been here very long by the time she got here because my passage was so long. What else? Thanks for everybody for tuning in to the chat over here too. Hello from United Kingdom. This is my first solo ocean crossing, but Rocket Man asked how many ocean crossings have I done. But I've sailed from Puerto Rico to Bermuda to North Carolina. before, but obviously solo across the Pacific to Hawaii is a much bigger feat. That's the cool thing is like sailing the Line Island should only take like 9 to 10 days. So I look forward to like not another super gnarly passage. Yeah, as I said earlier, I am not addressing anything to do with my relationship on this podcast or on this live stream. Um, uh, what else? Oh, I have some other news. I bought my plane ticket to return to LA for holidays. Um, I'll be flying in right before Christmas, and I will be in Southern California for 1 month. I have like 2.5 weeks worth of work lined up in January, and I'm just going to go out there to see friends and family for the holidays. And it'll thing that's going to happen when I'm in Southern California is we're going to have a meetup. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely have a Southern California meetup so that I can like sit down and have conversations with everybody in person. You know, that's like my core group out there. So that'll be cool. Velocity asked about where's next after Hawaii. Currently, it looks like the South Pacific in the spring. So, yes, I've read Log from the Sea, Cortez. It's one of my favorite books of all times. And I've read it probably 5 times. I might have my copy right here, actually. Yeah, I don't know where my copy is, but yeah, keep it close by at all times. What else? I would love to do the Inside Passage, or not the Inside Passage. I would love to do the Inside Passage, but that made me think of something else. If anyone knows of anyone looking for crew to do the Northwest Passage, throw my name in the hat. I would love to do the Northwest Passage on a properly outfitted boat. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't matter to build 2 rudders. Robert O'Connor is asking if I should build 2 rudders instead of 1. It wouldn't really matter to build 2 rudders. First of all, where are you going to stow it? Second of all, I couldn't even swim under to tie like a line around the thing. So like doing any kind of silly stuff at sea is like a non-option. I'll draw you a picture of what I'm going to do to my new rudder. That if I make my rudder, I'm going to do this thing. I'll draw you a picture right now. So this looks like a fancy shoe, but this is where my propeller would be. This is where my keel attaches. I'm going to do a notch so that I could lower a rope down and into this hole with a knot on either side so that I wouldn't have to get in the water. I could slide it under and then pull it left to right, which is what I was trying to do the whole time. I was trying to get control lines on that rudder so I could use it. But I'm going to do like a G10 reinforced inset that has a notch where you could slide a line on and get to it without having to get in the water, because getting in the water sucked real bad. No, I'm not putting the boat on the hard when I leave. I'm going to have someone stay on board. I'm only going to be gone 30 days, so. What else? Let me see. People are talking about sailing out to Hawaii. Yeah, I tell you what, like sailing to Hawaii, I mean, I sailed pretty late season. I wouldn't suggest sailing as late as I did. Because that Hurricane Linda was like cruising right below me, which was pretty like nerve-wracking. But other than that, it's like it's a long haul. The issue with sailing to Hawaii is that if you're planning on going back to the mainland, that's the issue, because it's so far to go back. But sailing here without major failures, really, really easy. I mean, we don't have real weather in the Pacific other than hurricanes. Unlike the Atlantic has like gnarly, like the squalls here are so polite. But yeah, it's downwind, trade wind sailing. So it's like you know, make sure you have all your stuff set up for your boat and go for it. Um, uh, Someone's asking if it's difficult to find a slip for that amount of time. No, you have. I'm at Alawai in Honolulu, and guest slips. You have 120 days per calendar year where you can stay in the state harbors. Now they make you jump through a bunch of hoops. Like you have to up your insurance to almost $500,000. You have to add them as a rider on your insurance. But once you do all this kind of silly stuff they make you do, then it's pretty simple. And it's like $17 a day if you're not staying on board, and then it's like $27 a day if you are staying on board. So you can keep it here for 120 days at that cost, you know. What else? Did I see other boats besides the tanker? I saw several tankers, and I saw one sailboat. I don't remember how far off I was. I don't remember. 300 miles offshore, I saw a sailboat, which I was shocked about. But other than that, I didn't see. Oh, I saw some fishing boats lights at night, but I never saw them up close. But they kept me up all night because they were within eye shot, so I was like, had to watch, keep an eye on them the whole time. Um, Somebody's asking me about using a catamaran as a captain. No, that's there's if he's looking for a captain, he should go on like crew finders or crew seekers or like that. There's captains for hire on those sites. Um, my AIS worked when I left. I actually have footage of it working before I got to San Nicolas Island, and for some reason, once I got far offshore, it never worked. So I had an AIS when I left that was working. I even have footage of it working on the outtakes video. But for some reason, once I got well offshore, it did nothing. There was like that tanker came within a mile of me and it was not on my AIS. So from that point on, and at one point I just unhooked it because I was like, I don't want it drawing power if it's not doing anything. Um, so Carlos is asking, where are the anchorages on the windward Oahu are you thinking of hitting? The main one is Kaneohe, and it's a 7-mile wide bay. It's totally protected. It has the sandbar, which is very famous spot. And then I'm going to hit a bunch of, I'm going to try to get like a offshore mooring permit from the harbor master in Kaneohe so that I can spend like five to 7 days, because under Hawaiian law, you can only spend 72 hours at each anchorage. And that there's a lot to explore in there. So I'm hoping I can get that permit. Otherwise, then I would like to go up to Waimea on the North Shore and then pop into Haleiwa into the harbor and stay for a couple days, and then probably pop back around the west coast, their west side. But I don't know. The passage from past Barber's Point to Honolulu was like one of the worst passages I've ever had to do in my life. Not because it was dangerous or anything, but it took me 12 hours to go 17 miles, and it was terrible. It's just beating into the winds and the seas. And again, it wasn't dangerous. It was just I was doing 1.4 knots all day, and there was no way around it. Yeah, I'm gonna check the swell report, and if it looks sketch, then I won't go to Waimea. I won't go to the North Shore at all if it looks sketch. But I won't really know until I get up to Kaneohe. Um, Chris was asking about a net for the tuna encounter. The problem with like those big fish is like there's a couple things. For one, I'm brand new to fishing. I haven't eaten fish in like 30 years. So, and I told myself when I start cruising full time that I would start eating fish. I'll never eat red meat again. I've been vegetarian since 1988. But I definitely am like, well, it's only responsible. It makes sense to eat fish because I'm going to go to places all over the world, and it's just logical. So that being said, I am brand new to fishing, so I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm reading this. I don't know where my book is. I'm reading this cool book, but I think my knot failed on that. And I had a couple. I only had 2 cedar plugs. I had some other lures, But the reality with that tuna scenario, which was so cool, is that I didn't need any food. I didn't need any of that fish. Um, I did try to catch one just because I was like, oh, this is like the perfect scenario, and it caught on like that. But I didn't need it. And knowing that I didn't know what I was doing and that I was already in a sort of dangerous situation, um, I was like, there's no reason for me to throw away all of my lures because I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? So I was like, especially because I was like, I might need that for survival at some point if something else happens. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna throw away all my stuff just to like be cute on film, you know. But I did give it a shot with my Cuban yo-yo, and a lot of people are like, "What in the world? You just have line?" Like those Cuban yo-yos are a very common fishing tool on sailboats, and I do have a rod and reel in the boat and other fishing gear. So just because it wasn't on film doesn't mean that it wasn't on board. Um, what else? Oh, Captain Mike's on here. What's up, Mike? Captain Mike's gonna teach me how to fish proper. I also want to learn how to spearfish. I actually like the idea of spearfishing better because it's targeted. Like you don't catch something by accident and wound it and have to put it back. I'd rather like be underwater and be like, okay, I know that's something that is is good for eating, um, and specifically target that fish. I want to be responsible about the whole thing. But yeah, that tuna scene was totally bananas. It's so crazy. Somebody asked when I'll be selling to Hilo. I probably won't ever sell to Hilo because it's on the wrong side of the Big Island. But as far as like coming from this way, I will. I do plan on going to the Big Island, even though there's only a handful of anchorages over there. But I want to hit all the islands as much as I can while I'm out here. What else? What else? Y'all got any questions? Try to skim these real quick. Scott, thanks for keeping up on answering questions. You guys see someone called Mist? What is it? Let me see. I lost it. My little brother Scott Tillery's name is like Mist Variant or something on here. So if y'all see him answering questions, he's an authority that is speaking for me for sure. Um, I'm not sure when I intend to head to Brazil. Everything's so up in the air, but currently, like I could see, like after the South Pacific, I'll go up and I'll probably spend a year or two in Southeast Asia, and then do the Indian Ocean to Madagascar, hit everything in between Southeast Asia and Madagascar, and then you know Cape Town, and then probably sail from there over to Brazil. Um, but it's a ways off in the future. But I am excited now. I have to start buying cruising books for the South Pacific because I have a couple stored at my little brother Colby's house. But it's funny. I mean, I had no intention to head to the South Pacific, so I don't even know the routes or anything. Especially with everything that's closed. I kind of have to figure out a logical route and go from there. I will certainly do Cape Horn at some point, but for sure. Someone asked something about what being at sea does to your body. I can say that I lost maybe 15 to 20 pounds when I was at sea. It was pretty gnarly. What else? No, I have never. Yeah, actually, I have sailed into Half Moon Bay. We stopped at Half Moon Bay, but we just slept at the fuel dock in 2015 on a delivery up to San Francisco. But that's the only time I've been in Half Moon Bay. And we just kind of snuck in and snuck out. Someone asked if I tattoo. I do know how to tattoo. I do not pursue it as a career. For a minute, I was looking into doing that as a career before um, I decided that like being a licensed skipper made more sense for what I wanted to do in the long run. Tahiti, yeah, I'd love to go to Tahiti if it's open. We'll see. Um, yeah, I'll be doing. As of somebody asked if I was doing the whole journey solo. I mean, as it looks right now, for sure, everything will be solo from here on out. I wouldn't mind doing inter island stuff with like friends, but I yeah, for the foreseeable future, especially ocean crossings. Like I've said this a couple times now. The one thing I really learned about doing ocean passages on a small boat is you have to be very comfortable being uncomfortable. Um, and I can be miserable for 32 days and I'm totally relaxed. But if I had somebody else who was not on board 100%, or even just someone else who thought they were on board and then they're miserable and complaining, then it would make the whole thing way worse. And I don't mind getting thrown around like a silly guy. And yeah, it was fine. What's my monthly operating budget? I don't really know. I can live without major gear failures like what I'm having to deal with right now. I can live between $800 and $1,000 a month. Because I have no debt. My boat is mine, and all I have to pay for is like food, very little fuel, and whatever slips. But I've been staying 2.5 to 3 weeks under anchor and only spending about a week a month on a slip. So that's the main cost. The only other cost is like my Iridium Go and like my phone service. So yeah, I don't have a lot of expenses. Um, I'm Malo is asking if I'm going to live in Hawaii. I'm going to be in Hawaii until April, and then I'm going to sail to the South Pacific when the season opens up. After I get all my repairs done this winter. Yeah, I have the publication Sailing Routes Around the World. I have all that stuff, and I have this. I have all the Cornell books, and like you know, I got all that stuff. But I need specific like South Pacific stuff as well. Um, what else? You can see all the slip fee prices on like the different websites. Um, like right now, I'm paying like 27 a day at Alawai. That's why I'm only staying like a week at a time. Um, yeah, hopefully, yeah. Mike might head down to Mike. Put the name of that island you sent me that video to. That looks really cool. I think it's in the Line Islands. Um, but do I use a sat phone? I use Iridium Go, which turns my iPhone and my iPad into a sat phone. Um, so yeah, Line Islands. That's where I'm hoping to hit first. Let's see. Uh, did I can't wait for you guys to see these anchorages that I went to. So crazy. The west side is fantastic until you have to come back to Honolulu. And there was like only one other boat in every anchorage. Somebody's asking how long I'll be in Honolulu. I'll be in Honolulu on and off until April, but I'll only be in Honolulu through the weekend, and then hopefully, if the weather and everything works out, then I'm planning on heading around to the east side of the island. Um, what else? Am I happy with the boat? I love this boat so much. Um, she has an Achilles heel, but other than that, this boat is perfect. It's like she is so solid, so good in big seas, very quiet down below, which is important, and just what a fantastic ship. Amazing. And seriously, like of all the stuff I did on it, there's like my only complaint is the wind vane. Like I have like this boat is perfect. Who's the troll that needs to be banned? Someone tell me and I'll ban him. Scott Tillery, tell me who the troll is that needs to be banned on the chat. How does it handle light winds? Well, she's slow, but I always say if you're worried about comfort and speed, you shouldn't be on a sailboat. I have a lifeboat on board. I had one the whole passage. All right, there you go. I just banned that dude that was being annoying. So, what else? What else? Hello, Keith. Thanks for showing up late. It's chill. Did I read Adrift? Yeah, I've read Adrift. Oh, thank you, Dave. Appreciate it a lot. Any of the donations and the donations from the premiere of the passage video, I put all that stuff in savings to go towards repairing the rudder. How can someone ask how you can find it on the map? Scott Tillery, will you post a link to the tracker for me real quick so I don't have to go out of the screen? Mike's asking me 1 to 10, how beautiful are the women here? I'm not going to touch that question at all. Totally staying away from that question. There's lots of aloha here. That's all I'll say. Let's see. Since we're not able to use the auxiliary rudder on the Sailmate or main rudder, are there any advantages to that type of system? Yeah, the auxiliary rudder saved my ass when I came in, had to drop all sail and anchor off Waikiki and wait for Captain Mike to tow me. If it hadn't been for the auxiliary rudder, I would have just been, there's no way I could have gotten in close and anchored safely. I could have anchored somewhere sketch. But the auxiliary rudder, 1000%. And not to mention, the auxiliary rudder wind vane did work through the whole passage as a steering vane, as a wind vane steering system. And it worked by me offsetting the weather helm by the drogue. So it still worked. I mean, it started to fail at the end, but as far as an auxiliary rudder system goes, 1000%. I would never own a wind vane that wasn't an auxiliary rudder, ever. Someone just asked if I fixed the rudder. I did a temporary repair on the rudder, and I'll be rebuilding the rudder in the next couple months. Someone asked if I have a Catalina. No, I have an Alberg 30, 1965, hull number 55. Someone asked if a shark hit the rudder. I do not think a shark hit the rudder. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. Hi, Lynn. How's it going? What were I eating when you're out at sea with all the rudder problems? I ate lots of like red beans and rice. I got completely addicted to Japanese curry. So I'd make fresh jasmine rice, and then I would heat up these packets of Japanese curry. That was my favorite thing that I got to eat on the whole passage. I had like collard greens, corn. I had like instant mashed potatoes, which is like what you eat on lots of like yacht deliveries. That's like the easy go-to. I ate soup, which is tricky on a boat. And actually, I'm sure Carlos or somebody's going to laugh at me now because of that. One of the blog posts, I talk about my disaster I had with the soup night. What else did I eat? Ramen was easy, especially when things were really rough. And because if you guys saw the passage video, you saw how gnarly the seas were. And it's very funny. Like my perspective now on like comfort on a ship is so perverted that like I was in what I maybe would have considered rolly anchorages previously, and I'm like, oh, it was totally fine now. It really changes it. So what else? What year was your boat made? 1965. And yes, I have a hand pump water maker as an emergency desalinator, but I've never had to use it. No, the rudder damage was absolutely not done on the mainland. I don't even know how that would have happened. Somebody asked if I could sail to Boston and take an Air Force veteran on a trip of a lifetime. No, but you could sign up to crew finders and get on boats and get out there and see the world on boats. Thank you so much for the donation. Really, really appreciate it. And somebody mentioned something about my bilge pump. Oh yeah, the soup in the bilge. I rerouted my bilge pump out because of what happened on my first attempt into the cockpit, and it that was perfect. I didn't have the crazy water ingress that I had on my first attempt. Mike's asking, how's the sailing compared in Hawaii compared to the West Coast? The anchorages are way, way more mellow here. Like California anchorages are so rolly and so deep that the anchorages here are fantastic so far. The wind is no joke, and everyone always says that. But for a good example, so when I was coming back from Electric Beach to Honolulu, which is, as I mentioned earlier, absolutely terrible. I had to go out past a tanker, and so then it put me about at the 3 mile mark, maybe 2.5, and suddenly you're in serious ocean sailing. I was in 8-foot waves with like 20 knots of wind. Other than that, it's like cruising down the coast. You get lots of you can get hit with 22 knots for like 10 minutes, and then there'll be no wind, and a lot of eddies on the west side. So kind of motor sailing, but also my boat is in such a compromised state that I don't want to put an immense amount of pressure. So I'm not raising I'm leaving my main on my third reef and just using my head sail, and motor sailing to keep I want to keep a lot of that pressure off as my temporary repair. Someone said, what was it like earning 10,000 subscribers in a month? It's totally bananas. The subscriber count has been crazy, and just the reaction and the response to the passage video has just been out of this world. Like I mentioned this on the ocean cruising podcast I did the other day. Like I edited that thing over the course of the whole passage, and I didn't know if it was interesting at all. I knew that the tuna scene was really cool, but I didn't know if people would want to see just, it's hard to edit something interesting 32 days into an hour. And most people don't want to watch an hour video anyway. So I was like, I don't know if this video sucks or not. I've made over 200 videos, so I know how to make videos, but I really wasn't sure if it was really worth uploading. Other than the tuna scene, which was fantastic. But people have responded in a crazy way, and I'm so grateful for everyone watching it. It's cool. Someone asked if I have a problem finding insurance in 965 boat. No, Progressive will give you insurance without even talking to you. Go on the website, no problem. Someone asked, did I do anything to have that video go viral? Yeah, I lost my rudder 1,000 miles from Hawaii. What else? Let's see if you guys are asking any questions here. I have not done any scuba diving yet this trip. I have all my gear, but the snorkeling here is so fantastic. You don't really need to dive. But when my little brother Colby Thorpe's coming out with his girlfriend Ashley and her family the first week of December, and we're going to do some diving. I'm going to try to see about getting us on a shark dive, hopefully a cageless shark dive, so we're swimming with some big boys. Someone asked if I surf. I surf terribly. I'm a really good skateboarder and I'm really good at snowboarding. So I understand the mechanics of it. I just don't have the patience to sit and wait. That's my big issue with surfing. Looks awesome. Um, I went out to the breakwater here at Hawaii one of the first nights I got here, and I counted 72 people in the lineup, which blew my mind because in LA it's just like, but there's so many waves. I guess it's easier, to spread out. Um, I didn't use my sextant. I have the sextant on board. It's very beautiful. I know how to use it. I used it all across the Atlantic when I sailed to Bermuda, but I didn't use it on this trip at all. But I did have it in case my GPS went out. That's the other thing I'm going to be doing. At some point, I'm going to be doing a couple of episodes talking about everything I learned from my passage and things I would suggest people consider before they make a solo passage, as far as like equipment or things that I found to be different than I thought they were going to be. So that's like a short little mini series that'll be coming up at some point. But I have a lot of content from all the adventures I've been doing. So for the next foreseeable coming up is like we do have an episode of me doing the temporary repair on the rudder. So there is some footage of that. But other than that, it's mostly adventure stuff. Yeah, Captain Mike. Somebody's mentioning Captain Mike. Yes, he is my boy, and he took care of me when nobody else could take care of me. He did it. What else? What else? Someone's asking the package of the Japanese curry. Yeah, let me look and see if I have one. I just bought more. I just reprovisioned the other day. This stuff is so good. It is so good. I can't even tell you. Especially, it's easy for like ocean stuff. That's the one thing that I kind of want to do. I actually need to do is I have an alcohol stove, and I need to figure out a way to upgrade it to a propane stove. Even if I just get a small 2-burner propane that I have to mount on this gimbaled stove, because you can't get denatured alcohol in the South Pacific because they have problems with like local people drinking it and going blind. So like everything I've read, you just can't get denatured alcohol in the South Pacific. So I need to figure out a scenario for upgrading that to propane. But there is no poop bucket. I have a proper sophisticated head with a shower and hot water. I am very, very fancy. Carlos is asking what I've eaten on Oahu. Very good Thai food, Carlos. And it's funny, I ordered Thai food from this dude on Postmates, and the only reason I ordered it from him is because the name of the place was Mr. Pad Thai Guy, and I thought that was so funny that I ordered it, and it was delicious. So that place is bomb. And then Honolulu Burger has a Beyond Burger that is unbelievable, super good. Favorite book? That is an impossible question. Pretty much anything from the Roths, all of their books, and the Smeatons. I love them. I bought a bunch of books yesterday. Yeah, this is my new one, which I can't say it's obviously I just bought it, but David Lewis, We the Navigators. David Lewis's Icebird was a fantastic book too. What else? Yeah, am I still making art? No, I don't. Mainly it's like I make things. I like to make things, and I make so many videos, and I have 3 books in the works right now, 2 that'll be done this year. So I don't make fine art anymore. I did make an audio recording the night that I was adrift at sea of the sounds in the ship that were completely insane, like insane. So I'll probably be releasing that as a video on YouTube as like I don't remember the ASMR or whatever that whole scene is called, because the sounds, and it was a stereo recording. The sounds were totally insane. So we'll see how that recording came out, and I might be releasing that. But other than that, I don't really make fine art anymore. Someone said, have I read All Cards' book? No, that he sailed the Chilean islands. No, I did not. Hamo, uh, no, but I would. I'm gonna have to come back and find this so that I can find that book and order it because I'm obsessed with. At some point, I'll be in Chile for sure. Um, Carlos is shouting out a reference to one of my old albums. um, so says, what is one of your bigger goals for your next adventures at sea? I want my next adventure at sea to be as boring as possible. I want it to just be so boring that no one even cares that I did it. That's all I want. Is like a happy sail to an island to be like, okay, that was very just non-dramatic. That's what I want. Someone's asking me if I'm scared to fall off the edge of the earth. No, I'm down to fall off the edge of the earth, and I can end this misery, this human condition I suffer through daily. One of my favorite YouTube channels, my favorite YouTube channel is Free Range Sailing, hands down. Couple in Australia on a small boat from the 60s. Those guys are my favorite for sure. Somebody said induction cooktop. I don't have lithium batteries, so I can't do induction. Thank you, Connor. Awesome. Going straight to the rudder repair. Someone says they want to see my skills, bro. I can also break dance. I'll do a whole episode of me breakdancing. You'll see my skills. Any new tattoo ideas? Yeah, I talked to a tattoo artist here. I'm going to get this little fish tattoo that says Aloha for my little Hawaii souvenir tattoo. And then when Big Island Mike gets back, I'll probably get him to tattoo me a pair of booby birds so I can get a pair of booby tattoos, which I think is funny. Someone's talking about UFOs. I'm from New Mexico. I can't talk about UFOs. Show your junk drawer. Nah, it's okay. It's like half of the boat is my junk drawer. Dream sailing destinations. Oh, dream sailing? Okay, there's a question I can get into. Like if money was no object and a vessel was no problem, high latitude sailing all the way. Like Arctic and Antarctic. That's where I would spend seasons exploring those areas. Like that is where I really want to be in like one of the best ever boats, you know what I mean? Like high latitudes, like Skip Novak style. That is where I would go sailing if money was not an issue. Someone said get a tuna tat. No, but I'm going to get a pilot fish tattoo because I like those pilot fish guys. They kept me company when I was diving on the boat. They were the only people around and I was almost drowning at sea by myself. Someone asked if I talked to Sam. Yeah, Sam was in contact with me the whole with my team while I was gone, but me and Sam talk regularly. And Sam's mom Ann loves me, and me and her talk all the time too. Well, I'm interested in the tropics. So I'm going to the South Pacific, so obviously I have some interest in the tropics. Oh, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a wild ride so far. Mark, Killdragger's getting ready to. You're heading to Mexico, right, Mark? Soon. He's got a channel too. Make sure you check it out. Any close calls with sharks? I was shocked. I didn't see any sharks on the whole passage at all, which I was really shocked about. I also didn't see any dolphins. Just that big marlin and the tuna. And then the tuna stayed with me all the way to Oahu. Someone asked, what did I do before this to afford expeditions at sea? I worked paycheck to paycheck, and I paid all of my bills off. And when I left Los Angeles, I had $1,000 in savings. So it's not that I can actually do this. I live on like the razor's edge of total destruction at all times. But it's the only way to make it happen because I'm not wealthy. So I just just make it. And the main thing I did was I invested money to get my captain's license, and I got certified to be an advanced scuba diver. So I can, when I totally run out of money, I can work in any port in the world. Like I can fabricate things for boats. I can work on boats. I can move boats, drive boats, either delivery captain or driving tour boats. So before I left land working paycheck to paycheck, I set myself up to have the ability to earn income in foreign ports, because I know there'll be plenty of times where I just hit a wall financially and have to work, and that's chill. That's what most people do. Someone said, "Don't break something you're not trying." Boy, that's true. Yeah, right, Christopher. Yeah, the razor's edge is. I was counting up how many times I've almost died the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I must be a part cat," because it's like I have so many near misses. Thank you, appreciate it. People keep asking me about Sam. Yeah, I've known Sam since he bought his Ranger. He bought it 2 boats down from me. I've known him a long time. What else? Corey keeps asking me, free boat, what do you pick? I already have a boat, so I don't need a free boat. Carl said, still in person, I'd be in sticky situations as you, though. You say that, Carlos, because we've probably been in sketchy situations together. But yeah, my LinkedIn, as far as danger goes, is well stocked. What else? You guys got any other questions? Currently, I don't plan on going to Alaska. I plan on going to the South Pacific. I would love to go to Alaska. I have all the books. I had my heart is in the Aleutians, and I was so bummed when I wasn't able to make it. But at this point, I looked at my tracker, and that pretty line that goes all the way across from America to Hawaii. I was like, boy, that line would look good if it just kept going west. So we're going to see if we can draw that line around the world. How old am I? I am 46 years old. I'll be 47 in April. Hot date tonight. Yeah, with my boat. I go to sleep at 8 o'clock when it gets dark. Have I been around Australia? I've visited Australia, but I've not sailed there. I'm not sure where I'm going in the South Pacific yet. I just have to start researching. It depends on what's open, mostly. Thought there was some drone footage in the video. You travel with a drone. Yes, yeah, I have. And I crashed my drone onto the boat when I shot that footage. I can't believe I actually saved it, and it still works. I shot drone footage all over Hawaii so far. Somebody else just asked how old I am. I'm still 46 years old. What else? You get worried in the middle of the ocean? No, actually, to be completely honest with you. And it's probably not to my benefit, but I don't have fear sensors like normal people. I don't think. I don't really get scared of things, unfortunately. I get cautious. Yeah, the only thing I was worried about in the middle of the ocean was the fact that I might have to sink my boat and get on a cargo ship to be rescued if I didn't figure out how to steer it. And that was the thing that kind of gutted me. Was sitting in the cockpit, looking down, imagining it filling full of water, because I was like, the boat's perfect other than the rudder. So that's the only thing I was worried about. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not good at. I'm terrible at being afraid of things, but that'll probably be my end at some point. And again, if you guys you see Mist on there is my little brother Scott. He's answering questions for me. Someone just said they're April 11th. That's my birthday, April 11th, also. What else? Where am I now? Which island? I'm on Oahu, in the beautiful, beautiful city of Honolulu, and I can totally see. I could grow old here, but I have too much of the world to see. I love Honolulu so much, and Oahu. I've been to Maui. I've been to the Big Island, but Honolulu is amazing. and Oahu is amazing. And I've met some like really cool people so far, and I love it here. Carol's asking my future plan. Future plan is to sail to the South Pacific in April. What was my average speed to Hawaii? The average speed after the rudder failure was 3.5 to 4 knots, but that's with following seas. And no mainsail and just headsail alone while the parking brake was on. Is that a ram tattoo on your knee? Yes, absolutely. It's Aries. Someone asked if I was vaccinated. Yes, I am vaccinated. I got vaccinated early because I was at high risk for death in Los Angeles. Because I had damaged lungs from double pneumonia. I almost died in 2015 from double pneumonia, and my lungs were severely damaged. Is it pricey to visit, stay in Hawaii via sailboat? No, it's much cheaper to be on a sailboat here than to stay in a hotel. The trick is like getting your boat here and getting it back home. Oh, Mark's asking, selling South Pacific from Mexico? No, Mark, maybe you tuned in late. I'm staying in Hawaii and fixing the boat here and sailing to the South Pacific in April. What time is it here in Honolulu? It is 5 o'clock in the evening. Someone said, did I do much international travel prior to sailing? I've been to, I think, 22 countries. So yeah, I've done a lot of travel. Someone says, do I work in Hawaii? No, I have, I can work here if I run low on money, but currently the ad revenue and my Patreons keep me just enough to survive, along with my savings. I am flying back to Los Angeles in January for 3 weeks to work. I make a very good wage when I work in Los Angeles, and that will help me kind of top up the cruising kitty and deal with some of this rudder business. Someone asked if I've been to Thailand, but no, but I cannot wait to sail to Thailand. I cannot wait. Says Adam's asking me about Hawaii. You just need to buy this book and watch my videos. Like, that's the best book I found for Hawaii. Getting guest slips is easy here, and you have to jump through the bureaucracy hoops, but there's plenty of slips from what I've seen. What else? What else? I don't know. Somebody said, I heard the boating permit fee is expensive in Hawaii. Mike, if you're still on here, will you chime in on that? Because I don't know what that means. But yeah, it's awesome here. I cannot wait to hit all the islands in Maui. And again, I had thought about doing like inter-island stuff with my temporary repair, but I was sailing the other day in 22 knots of wind, and I was hand steering, and there was so much pressure on the rudder, and it probably would hold, but those channels here are no joke. They're no joke. Serious winds, massive seas, and a raging current. So it would just be completely irresponsible, especially knowing how sketchy the tow situation is, for me to do inter-island travel until I get my proper rudder rebuilt and installed. Someone mentioned the Big Island. Yeah, I mean, I plan on going everywhere, but I might try to fly over to the Big Island to see the volcano. Will be more live feeds like this in the future? When it makes sense. They're a little hard to do by yourself. Like used to when it was like 2 of us, it was much easier. People are saying good night. I appreciate y'all being on here. Somebody asked if I sleep in certain increments during the passage. When I'm far offshore, I sleep in 1 hour increments. My alarm goes off the top of hour every hour. I get up, I go out on deck, I look at 360 for ships, I check the course, I check the sails, and I lay back down. Now, the reality is you almost never sleep that full hour. I don't anyway, because the ship's doing silly stuff. You get up before, you get up a little, So you never really sleep, but you do that kind of system all day. Like during the middle of the day, I would do the same thing. I would lay down for an hour. You just lay down whenever you can and try to get what sleep you can. Are there free anchorages in Hawaii? I haven't experienced any anchorages you have to pay for. There might be some where you have to pay a mooring permit, but none that I've gone to. Do I shorten sail for nights? Yes, absolutely. I found, at least on the sail here, is that at night the winds actually increase. Where when you're doing on like coastal cruising, you find that the winds drop down at night generally. And the problem with like night sailing and the trade winds is you can't see the squalls coming. So every night I would like shorten up the head sail to just about 90%, and then always have the main reef down, unless you were in like 6 knots of wind all day, and then you would just be so annoyed that you would just risk it. But I found for sure that I would shorten sail and just have to deal with the fact that you weren't getting as good of progress. But it was better than, because the winds were going to get up to 25 every night, multiple times. So you're getting spanked at least 2 or 3 times a night, and it's better to already be reefed down, because then even when the wind's coming at 25, if you have your sails set and balanced, she's going to run off until that squall passes, and then she's going to fall back in line. And you just kind of, it's something you have to learn your ship and learn what's up, and you find a kind of a rhythm to it. What else? How many times were you drunk to finish the wallpaper on your body? I don't drink. I've been sober my entire life. And that person just got blocked. So, someone said no AAS. Yes, if you watch the video, I had AAS. It worked at the beginning. It didn't work after that. Do you have any daily written checklists when at sea? Yes, I did, for sure. My older brother actually talked me into doing that because he was concerned about fatigue. He was in military intelligence, and he's in the NSA. But his military background, he was like, you need to set up these checklists, because once you get into fatigue, and any of you guys that have been in the service know this. I didn't know this because I never was in the service. But he said, once fatigue sets in, you're not going to be able to kind of think through what you need to do. So I made a checklist where I would go down for things to look at. And one of those things was like every day I would get up. I would go on deck, and I always had a harness on when I went forward and clipped in, unless it was very calm conditions. And I would check all the rigging. Basically, it's like I would look on deck. I would check all of the turnbuckles, make sure everything was seized, look up, stare at the top of the mast, see if anything was weird. Check all the sort of tensions and everything. And find all the flying fish that were on deck, throw them overboard, that sort of stuff. Somebody's asking if I can talk about what will be involved in the rudder repair. I just have to build an entirely new rudder, and I have to have a whole new rudder post, tiller post, and everything made, all brand new. So I'll be making it. It'll be cord with marine ply, and then it'll be fiberglass. Christopher's asking about the stars. Yeah, the stars are completely bananas, especially when there's no moon. The stars are so intense that the Milky Way looks like a 3-dimensional sculpture. When the moon's out, it's not as wild, but when there's no moon, it is bananas. So crazy. How can you buy my books? Through Amazon. You can search James Frederick on Amazon, and my books are on there. Do I think my boat is perfect size for me? For sure. It's plenty big enough. Do I miss the Channel Islands? No, I did the hell out of the Southern California sailing. and I love it there, and I'm happy. I mean, I have a cruising guide coming out for everyone to hear my experiences to help anyone that's just getting into sailing around that area. But no, I'm chill. I did California real hard. Someone asked if I see myself upgrading to a bigger sailing ship. Absolutely not. No interest whatsoever. Hardest part about sailing, money. Money. What else? What else? You guys got any other questions? Any more? Any more? Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Anything helps. Similar to Contessa 26, Contessas are awesome. John took that Contessa around the horn. I think his was a Contessa 32, I think. Are you updating our website? I don't really have a website. I have like I have like the Tumblr blog. I might have to do like a proper website, but I want to make my life as simple as possible. Especially because I'm going to be in the wild real soon. Would I ever consider teaching others to sail? It all comes down to like time. My time is very limited. I work 8 to 9 hours a day between editing and the books I'm working on, and filming. It's literally like I don't really take time to just chill ever. Somebody said the ocean passage in the yacht from Seattle a while back was awesome. I loved that trip, man. We saw so much cool stuff on that trip. That thing was a total nightmare. 74-foot power yacht that we delivered with Captain David Stovall, who is one of the people that like really helped me a lot on my shore team. I love that guy. But yeah, that Yacht Delivery Chronicle series is still one of my favorite series we did. Any advice to a young sailor who is keen to sail around the world? I have a video on YouTube channel called Actual Affordable Adventure Cruising, and I break down many ways that you can get onto boats and how you can start your sailing career. So go watch that video, and there's links and stuff in the description. I've never read The Water in Between, but I want to read everything. Are you getting any flack from the marina? No, not at all. I love Hawaii. They're very nice as long as you do everything they ask. All the sailboats are going out for the Friday night races right now. I love Hawaii so much. It's so great. Someone asked if they could send me medicinal weed. No, thank you. I do not partake. Is the live going to be up to watch later? Yeah, actually, it'll be up on the thing, and I've made it so that the chat will be in there too, so that it makes sense if I'm answering questions without clarifying. Yes, I have health insurance. Carlos is asking me. Carlos Archuleta is one of my favorite people on the planet Earth who's asking me right now. Molokai, difficult sailing due to the channel, or is it easier to go through since it's a crossing? It is really gnarly. It depends on the angle you come. So like if I sailed from Kaneohe, it would be pretty easy to sail to Molokai. And there's like a little abandoned harbor on the sort of like northwest end, which I would go to. But if I sail from Waikiki or Honolulu, you would actually be easier to sail to Lanai, to this anchorage called Needles, because of the angle of the wind and the seas and everything. You'd kind of get your ass kicked if you sailed straight to Molokai from Honolulu. Yes, I will for sure be sailing to Asia and Australia. Absolutely. Like my perfect scenario, again, like plans are impossible to make, but my perfect scenario is I'll kind of make like a trip through the South Pacific this spring until cyclone season sets in, and then I'll go to New Zealand for an undetermined amount of time. If I can get, if this is all based on if things are open. Go to New Zealand, and then New Zealand to Tasmania, Tasmania to Australia. Go up the east coast of Australia, Papua New Guinea, and then up into Southeast Asia. And then I plan on spending a year or two in Southeast Asia. I have had no issues with any locals anchoring here. Where's my income from? I saved up money, and I make a very, very modest income through Patreon. And with the passage video, there's been like a decent amount of money that came through the ad revenue on YouTube. But almost all of that is going to have to go towards repairing the rudder. So it's not going to help me in the long. It helped me in the long run, but it's not like I can put it into the cruising kitty to help. Come aboard. Captain Mike is here. I do not listen to music sailing. Very, very rarely. Captain Mike's here.
Aloha, everybody.
Thanks, dude. Oh yeah. Brought me a cedar plug. He's gonna have to show me how to do all this stuff. But you out, partner? I'll holler at you. Thanks. See you, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Captain Mike is the best. I love that dude so much. And actually hollered at him yesterday because I was walking by where the boat he drives to see about just riding along with him and visiting. I like going out when they take tourists out to swim with the turtles. It's nice. What else? Someone said, so excited for the videos coming. I'm very excited to show you guys. Makua was insane. Pokai Bay, so cool. Awesome. Even Electric Beach, swimming with sharks. I accidentally swam with sharks, sandbar sharks. I was like swimming out to this site from the boat, and I came across this like 6-foot shark, and I was like, oh, so wild. What else? Somebody asked about someone losing their forestay on a Columbia 50, but they didn't lose a rig. That's crazy. So scary. So scary. No, I haven't run into him. Oh, Carlos, 1,000%. You are correct. Sarah saying hi to Mike. Mike already pieced out. He's a little camera shy. But such a good dude, man. Great guy. I can't wait for he's getting his boat dialed in so we can do some buddy boating here around Oahu. Other people I've met here, this guy Sai, who is like one of the submarine mechanic engineers at Pearl Harbor. Really good dude. He's helped me out a lot. Appreciate him. I met Rob from Sailing Eva. He's a nice guy. And you guys saw my adventure with Big Island Mike. He's like back on the mainland right now, but I'll be chilling with that guy. I'm gonna be getting dinner with Bobby. He was the other freestyler in that video with Big Island Mike. I'll be getting dinner with him soon. I've been hanging out with Faith, who I met through Big Island Mike, and Kimberly, who is a professional photographer and drone pilot for like National Geographic and NOAA. She's about to go on like a 2-month expedition on the Big Island, documenting the false killer whales and the spinner dolphins with the new Marine Mammal Protection Act. So I've met some very cool and interesting people, and everybody's been super sweet. What else? Someone asked how I reacted to my passage video going viral. I was super shocked. I mean, I thought just like other passage videos that had less drama did pretty well, but like I said earlier, we have almost 500,000 views in a month, which is totally insane. And the thing that's so interesting to me is like so many people that don't even watch sailing um, channels. They're like, "Well, I don't even know anything about sailing, but I couldn't look away from this." So I don't know. I don't know how that happened. um, I guess I just like am too close to it, you know. That I was shocked. Um, Good to see you, Christopher. Thanks for hitting me up. Um, but yeah, I was shocked that the public reacted the way they did. I mean, so nice. Um, and the percentage of trolls has been like very small compared to normal. I mean, I get a lot of abuse. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been posting some of the very abusive things I get as a kind of a joke to kind of poke them in the eye a bit. But for that video, it's like the positive response has been overwhelming and just like amazing. Um, I keep saying, I hope I never ever make a video that interesting ever again. That's my goal. um, yeah, it was so brutal, so brutal. Um, what else? You guys got any other questions? I have a Twitter, but I don't really understand Twitter. Um, I don't really understand it. I post every once in a while and I read some funny things. The main Twitter account that I follow is like a lighthouse in England has a robot that like just spits out weather reports and like funny haikus, and it's just funny. Like that's my favorite Twitter account. I go there and I laugh and then I leave Twitter. Um, yeah, I didn't say never. I said I hope to never make a video that interesting. Um, yeah, see, Carlos is the only person that likes my Twitter account. Um, what else? What else? Sarah, will you chime in on the chat and tell us what your favorite part of Oahu was? Um, do I want to build my own boat? I wouldn't mind building a wooden boat when I get old and like frail if I make it that long. Um, I could get into building a wooden boat. I like wooden boats. Just the upkeep is so gnarly. Plug my Insta. Um, Scott Tiller, will you put my Instagram account on the chat for me? Um, Thank you, Scott Wallace. That's a really nice compliment. I appreciate it. Um, what else? What else? People keep commenting too on the Passage video that I should get it on Netflix. So, you know, if anybody has an in at Netflix, I'm totally down to do an edit for Netflix. Um, Bye, Lynn. Thanks for joining in. One of the largest seas I've seen in my sailboat. In my boat, probably 12-foot seas. In other boats, I've been in 20-foot seas off the coast of Bermuda, but they were long periods, so they were just like intense and not dangerous. Um, what else? You guys got more questions? Yeah, the YouTube algorithm has been very generous to me and continues to like show it to random people. And people that I used to work with, like this guy, I think it was Christopher that just left. He messaged me the other night and was like, "Holy crap! I was watching YouTube and then your video popped up, and it was like, I know that. Like I used to work with him in an art handling company in like 2010 or something." And he was like, "Oh my god!" And so he sent me a really cool message and was like, stoked. Sarah said that color of the water and that I was there and alive was her favorite part of Oahu. We had fun when she was here. Um, Barbara said I look like her ex-boyfriend. I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm doing my best. What else? Oh, Scott Tillery, my brother, said he's not sharing my OnlyFans. He's not trying to help me make any money. People keep asking me how I make money. I do strip teases on OnlyFans. He's not helping me out at all. You guys are lucky I edited that rain shower scene. There was I didn't want to have to rotoscope my junk out, so I edited it. What was my lowest day on the passage, and how long did that feeling last? That gets into some like dark places I can't go here that I've talked about. And those dark days are still with me. So yeah, not really. Can't really cross that conversation at the moment. What else? Did you guys see that I have that ocean cruising podcast came out that I was on? It was pretty good. It was long format, but good conversation. Answers a lot of questions too that maybe I didn't touch on here. What else? I don't know. Sun setting here in Honolulu. Beautiful golden. I'm sure there'll be a rainbow pop up any minute now. Do I grow plants? No, I don't grow plants. That's landlubber business. Yeah, no. And like it's tricky because I'll be going through a bunch of different countries, so having plants on board is kind of frowned upon going between countries because of agriculture concerns. So I keep my boat very simple and streamlined as possible. It says in the middle of the ocean, what is the strangest things you have seen or imagined, i.e., life of Pi? Let me see. What is the strangest thing? Well, we came across a half-sunk mini maxi that was dismasted and no one on board. A day sail from Bermuda. I wasn't on my boat. I was on a delivery in 20. I don't even know what year that was. I have no idea what year it was. But when I sailed Bermuda Triangle, we found this mini maxi, and that was very eerie. And we called out and circled it, and no one answered. And there was like a pile of like lines on the deck and looked like a tether, but nobody on board. And it was like half sunk, no mast. We called it into Bermuda, Bermuda radio or whatever, like the Coast Guard in Bermuda, and they said like they didn't have any reports or whatever, so they didn't know. And I was never able to find any information about if the person was saved or not. Someone asked how I learned how to sail. You can listen to like my interview on the Wind podcast. I talk about a lot about how I got into sailing. Kind of a bit too much to go into right here today. Someone said, you get caught in big storms. If so, such a small sailboat handle. This boat's a blue water boat with a full keel. And I've been in like $300,000 flat bottom boats. It sounded like they were going to rip in half. And my boat is just like, she just like cuts through the water. Like, what's up? Let's do this. So yeah, when you're in gnarly conditions, you just kind of like set your sails the way you can set them and just have a go at it. The boat is holding up fabulous. Other than the rudder, this boat is in perfect condition. Carlos asked about the downplane of the radio. No idea. There was never any news reports about it. Nothing. It's very weird. The dude was so specific on the radio about watching the plane go down that it was very strange. I don't have any answers to that. I haven't had any issues with whales or great whites. I haven't seen any white sharks here, and the whales haven't come back yet. But I look forward to spending time in Anchorages here with whales. And one of my friends suggested I get a hydrophone to do underwater recordings, which I'm going to look into that. And if I can afford it, I'll get one. Someone said, really, it's about the wave period interval. 1,000%. Nigel said that 1,000%. That's all it's about. It's how close they are together. Mike is like spreading silliness, I think. What else? What else? If I ever felt like I was going to die at sea, the only time I felt like I might die was on my second dive on the passage. When I was holding onto the side and I was being drugged with my gear on and my arms like pinged out. And I realized like I might not be able to get back on board. And I was like, this is very bad. Very, very, very bad. That's the only time I thought I was going to die, which was annoying. Somebody asked if there's anything that you guys could send us. What would we want? Just your like happy thoughts and comments and thumbs ups on the videos. I appreciate it. Just keep watching the videos and let me know what you think. That's the support that I really appreciate, you know. Did I hear voices? Now we're getting into the meat of it. Yes, absolutely. Especially on the first passage attempt when I was in the really, really bad weather for 3 days. I had so many like aural hallucinations. So many. I heard less on this trip because I wasn't in really bad seas, but I definitely, there was one point on the passage, and I write about a lot of this in my book that I'm writing. There was one point on the passage where I was on deck pulling a reef in, and I heard myself say fuck from the cockpit, my own voice. And I was like, and I looked like, what? And then I would hear people speaking and stuff down below. And the only thing I can understand is like what I think is happening with that. And it's been written about for centuries. Like sailors have experienced this for centuries. What I believe is taking place is that there are so many crazy sounds that your brain tries to organize them in a way to say, we think this is what you're hearing. And so sometimes it presents it as conversations. Like I remember one of the things I thought I heard, it sounded like I was in a restaurant with like a light conversation that you couldn't really understand and like dinner plates clinking, like very clear. And a lot of times it would happen when I was laying down with one ear covered. If I would uncover both ears, I wouldn't hear it. It was so weird, so crazy. Very strange. Do they give you good advice? No, they didn't give me any advice. Yeah, it was so wild. Yeah, and I write about it quite a bit in the book. It is a pretty neat thing. One time, one of the crazy ones on the way back when I was motoring back from my failed attempt, my first attempt, the motor was going. I was here. It was very loud, and the frequency of the motor when I would have one ear covered, it sounded like a rock and roll radio station, like with lyrics and everything. And it was so fascinating because I would raise my head up and it would go away, and I'd put my head down and it sounded just like a rock and roll radio station. It was like a sound. It's like a combination between Soundgarden and Guns N' Roses, but I could never make out the lyrics. It was like mumbles. It was so weird. Yeah, so funny. Um, have I ever lost my balance and almost fell off the boat? The boat got close to being knocked down while I was tying a reef in, and I was tethered in, but the mast went not quite parallel to the water, but so far over that the boat just, I was like this, the boat just went out from under me, and I landed on my back on the rail and against the lifelines. I could have easily gone overboard if I wasn't tethered in, and it happened so fast. It was literally like I was standing there, and I was holding on. I was trying to tie the thing in, but it was like that, and I was in the air, and then I was on my back on the side deck. So Good night, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. What else? What else? Someone's asking about celestial navigation. Yes, I do know how to do celestial navigation. I've done it in ocean crossings before, or ocean sailing. How do I afford the lifestyle? Save up lots of money and be prepared to work when you run out of money. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, I don't have room for granny bars in my boat. My boat is so narrow in the beam, but I see boats with granny bars and I get so jealous. What else? You guys got more questions? Man, we've been on here a long time. I apologize. I guess there's still 134 of y'all listening to me ramble though. What else? First aid kit. Yes, I have a very robust first aid kit because my former sister-in-law was a surgeon and she like hooked it up so hardcore. My favorite meal at sea is Japanese curry with fresh jasmine rice. If I could sail with anyone living or dead, who would it be? Um, the Roths. They are my favorite ever. I love them. They're my biggest heroes. I know a lot of people are like into Matissier, but the fact that he abandoned his family always set so wrong with me that it just turned me off. And he also shipwrecked 3 boats, so not a huge Matissier fan. But the abandoning the family thing just always set wrong with me. It just turned me off. Um, what else? What's the next thing you like to do to the boat? Oh my God, I hope I never have to do another boat project ever. I've done too much boat projects. Um, the only things I kind of have to do is like I have to upgrade to a propane stove before the South Pacific. And I have to figure out a scenario with my wind vane, either rebuild or get a hydro vane. Curtis is asking, he tuned in a little late. I'm staying in Hawaii until April. I'm fixing my rudder here, and then I'm sailing to South Pacific. But who knows with the plans? Like, that's the loose plan at this very hour. Things always change. But as of this hour, that's the plan. Mike's trying to get me to help him sand his boat. I got to do my tow route soon. Today I did my boat work. I dealt with my slides. I had 2 slides blow out on my mainsail. I dealt with those temporarily, not temporary. I need to deal with them long term. But I replaced those today, and I tuned my rig. Oh, it's so pretty outside right now. Sunset here are crazy. Someone says no Mexico. No, I'm going to South Pacific because it's much closer than Mexico. Barbara said she hears voices in fans sometimes. Makes sense. Yeah, similar sort of thing. I think your brain just kind of tries to understand what's happening. Good night, Draco. What else? What else? You guys come out to Oahu. Make sure you take Captain Mike's snorkel tour. He'll take you. You'll see turtles for sure. Turtle Canyon. You get to see Waikiki from the water. It's awesome. We did that episode, and there's links to his tour on that episode. Scott's talking about Tesla radio. I don't know what that is, but he should send it to me. That's my baby brother, or not my baby brother, my little brother Scott. Scott, you ever heard those like number stations? Oh no, this is gonna go down a flat Earth hole. I shouldn't even bring up number stations. I'm not sure where. I don't know if I'll be heading Jason to there or to Marquesas. I have to start getting into the planning stages after the new year. And Clay's asking where in the South Pacific. It really depends on what's open by the time April rolls around. That's the biggest sort of like wrench in the mechanics. Yeah, I've seen a lot of sailing Nanji stuff. They've been in Indonesia for a minute. I don't know where they're at now, but Mike, no, I'm gonna shape it by hand, just like I did my Dodger. Can you see the sunset? No, because my external hard drive is plugged in and like processing video, so I would lose that. How long does it estimate the rudder will take me? Um, if I had like a shop and everything, I would guess a month to make the rudder. But I don't know. We'll see. It's not nearly as big as the Dodger, you know, but the Dodger took me like 4 months. No, I don't care about racing. I think racing is a really great way for people to learn how to sail because you do so many maneuvers in a short period. But I'm not. I have no interest in like. I'm not a competitive person, and I don't care about speed or beating people at anything. It doesn't matter to me. But I do encourage anyone who's getting into sailing to start racing on amateur like Corinthian sail teams because you learn so much about sailing and how boats handle and stuff. Yeah, sailing doesn't interest me. Yes, now I do sail solo all the time. Some say Christmas Island. Yeah, I would love to go to Christmas Island. Um, what else? What else? Yeah, I'm finally putting some weight back on. I got very, very skinny during my passage. Like bummer. Lost my bubble butt. That was my moneymaker too. You know. What else? Um, yeah, I got to start getting books um, on the South Pacific. I have some in storage at my brother Colby's house. So when I go back to LA for Christmas, I'm gonna get a bunch of those books and bring them back out. Um, Eagles and cycling said they'd love to sail, but they get sick on boats. That's the one thing I was stoked. I didn't get seasick at all in that passage. Um, and the stoked because that first attempt, man, I was so sick for days. But this last one, I had zero seasickness. Sometimes it just happens. You can find out all the prices for Alawai Harbor on their website. Um, no, I do not. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. I did see that, like, I guess those guys from Delos did that to buy their new boat for the Cruisers Academy. That seems like a cool thing they're doing. That Cruisers Academy is like a very smart sort of to take their experience and teach people. I think that's a really good idea what they're doing. It's neat. Carlos, will you text me the info to that place? Um, Also, Carlos, when are you coming out to Hawaii? Um, Billy's asking me, how much would you spend on a yacht to have enough for 6 months stay, 30-foot range? I don't understand the question really. Um, I don't really know. I don't know what boats cost because I bought this boat for $2,400 and fixed it up myself over the course of 5 years. I've invested $30,000 in it, but I did everything myself, so I have no sort of like gauge as to what boats cost because I haven't. I literally have not shopped for a boat since I bought this boat. What else? Oh, Marine Time Tease is asking. I did. So I'll tell you guys a funny story now that I'm all squared away. So Captain Mike and his crew towed me in to these abandoned docks over there, and we got me tied up. The next morning, I went to the harbor master's office, and it's like dealing with the DMV. They are not friendly, and they are very annoyed that you're making them do their job. They make you jump through a bunch of hoops. Okay, my rudder's broken. I didn't want to tell them my rudder's broken, obviously. They're like, I told them where I was at, because they're, okay, here's the thing. They say, okay, you got to call ahead of time, and we'll give you a slip. Okay, well, that's all fine and dandy, but they're closed on the weekends, and they only want you to call like a day ahead of time. So I showed up on a Sunday night. So I pull up over there. They're like, and then they get on my case. They're like, why did you tie up there? I'm like, I came in on a Sunday night. Where was I supposed to tie up at? They're like, well, you have to leave that spot immediately. There's a boat coming in tonight. They're going to be very mad. And I was like, well, I need to do a little bit of adjustment on my tiller, you know. And they're like, well, you got like, you know, you have till 4 p.m. And this was like noon or something. I was like, shit. And this was the day after that passage. 32 days at sea, everything emotional, physical, everything I'd gone through. I was so wiped out. So I was like, damn it. So I hooked up I inflated my dinghy, put the outboard on, strapped it to the hip, and tried to drive it here myself. I got like a couple slips down, and the wind was like pushing me towards all the other boats, and I had a panic because I was by myself with the dinghy tied to the boat. So I came about and went into another slip. So at least I was off the end one where they were telling me that a boat was coming in, which to this day, no boat has ever shown up on that slip. So then I texted Mike, and he was like, I was like, can you help me move this when you get off work? And he was like, give me a minute. He sent one of his like old deckhands over within 5 minutes. She was like in Waikiki, mopeded over, and she just stood on the deck. She didn't even have to end up doing anything because I kind of figured out how to steer the boat just with the dinghy, but just in case, she was there in case something would happen. And so I motored it real slow with the dinghy on the hip and pulled up to the slip where they told me. Luckily, they told me it was an in tie, and so I got it tied up. And the other lucky was like, well, we can't do your inspection and buoy run until Wednesday, and this was like Monday morning. So I was like, okay, that gives me like 2 days. And again, this is all freshly after all the chaos. So then the next morning, Tuesday morning, I get up, I Uber to an Ace Hardware, I buy a bunch of ratchet straps, I come back to Alawai, I get all my scuba gear out, I dive on the boat, I ratchet strap the rudder to the post with 4 ratchet straps, and then I go, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's hope this works. And I went over, they did my inspection, and which was basically like a Coast Guard type inspection. And then they're like, okay, now you got to do your buoy run, which I was super stressed about. So I had to drive out into the sea around a buoy and come and call them at the buoy so they could look on the camera and see me, and then drive back to my slip to show that the boat was seaworthy. And I was like so stressed out. Like I was just like, man, I hope this works. It worked perfect. It worked great. Ratchet Chaps did a fantastic job, but man, and again, and then the following day is when I finally got to relax. But it was just like until that Wednesday when everything was done, then I collapsed. But it was so gnarly, so stressful. What else? What else? Do I have a video camera I can pan around the boat in your anchorage? Also under video camera water set at the rudder. I just used a GoPro and I zip tied one of my GoPros to my C hook is how I saw the rudder. Yeah, trial by fire for sure. So gnarly. But I did it again. ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And then thankfully Sarah was here to help me get those. I had stainless steel strap tangs made to do my temporary repair. Hi, Robert Lee from SV Raven. Thanks for coming over and visiting me when I was in Marina Del Rey. It was nice to visit with you guys. Someone's asking about the sea tow. There's only one towboat for Hawaii, and he didn't answer the phone. That was the reason. Mike's asking if Hawaii is a good place to heal. I love Hawaii. Absolutely. Everybody keeps telling me that it's very healing here. And yeah, it's I love it here so much. It's great. After I see the world, I could definitely see coming back here. Thanks, guys, for your donations. I really appreciate it. All that's going to the rudder. Hello from Sand Island. I need to come over and check out that harbor sometime soon. Somebody asked why I have to prove the boat is seaworthy, so that they don't have people just like on derelict boats, like living in the harbor. That's the reason. I mean, it makes sense. I understand why they do it, but I was not in the position to do that. It won't be hard to leave Hawaii. It's like I've worked so hard to see the world that I love it here, but I plan on seeing like every nook and cranny, and I'll be like, okay, it's time to see nooks and crannies other places. Someone's asking how I damaged the rudder. I hit a submerged object. I don't know what the object was. All I know it was painted red, and that it led to the eventual failure of my rudder. Coupled with the fact that when I did the temporary repair, my bronze tiller post is completely pink, which means that thing is totally compromised anyway. So it was like the kind of perfect storm scenario. Robert's asking if I surf. I surf very poorly. I don't have the patience for surfing. Dingy397 says, "Long time no see. You should let me know who you are. That if we know each other from the past, let me know." Sarah, thanks so much, Sarah. I'm excited for you guys to see mine and Sarah's next couple episodes. We went to the North Shore on a wild road trip, and then we did the west side on a wild road trip, and we had a lot of fun. And then Captain Mike took Sarah out swimming with sea turtles. That's not on an episode. We just did that I think it was the day she flew out. Man, you guys are troopers. We've been here for a minute. You guys are troopers for just sticking around. The sun went down. The sun's going down. It's so nice here. Amazing. Definitely, if you find yourself cruising in the Hawaiian Islands, Hawaii is a great place because it's so centrally located, and there's lots of access to stuff. And you can get, like I said before, you can get guest slips here for 120 days in the calendar year. Someone said something about spearfishing. I want to learn how to spearfish. I do not know how, but I plan on learning while I'm in Hawaii because that would be my preferred method of fishing over rod and reel. What else? Whoa, they're flying in here. Sorry, I'm reading these comments, trying to see if there's anything I need to answer. Was there anything that would have made the drogue work better? Maybe something you didn't have on board. I talk about that a bit in the drogue steering video. I think that it would have worked better if I wouldn't have had the spinnaker pole, because I could have eliminated the chafe point, but I couldn't eliminate the spinnaker pole because the lines got under my wind vane. So with my wind vane, I don't think there was anything more I could have done. I definitely don't think that having a bigger drogue would have been beneficial, because it would have slowed me down even more. So I think it's a weird balance between like if you would want a bigger drogue if you were using it in a traditional drogue setting, to where you're slowing your speed down racing wave faces. I definitely think that that drogue is undersized for this boat for its traditional purpose, but for steering, I think it was perfect. Um, I am definitely going to be getting one of the fabric sea anchor style ones as a backup as well. Dreamcatcher, is that you, Kimberly? Um, what else? Okay, Scott, I love you. Good night. Thanks for everything. I'll talk to you later. Someone just asked about Camille. Just go watch the Passive video. I talk about it around the 11-minute mark. Alex said, enjoyed my calmness when the shit hit the fan in the crossing. Yeah, it's it's funny. A lot of people are like, oh, well, how were you when the camera was off? Like people that know me, like my brothers and Sarah, and people that know me my whole life. This is just who I am. Like that's just my demeanor. I've always said I excel at danger, so I'm far more like uncomfortable and awkward in like at a house party than like in a dangerous situation. I got to turn some lights on. So it's like that's just kind of this is just how I kind of just how I am. It's how I do things, and even more so like when everything went south on the Passage, it was like I actually slowed down everything I did to a crawl, because I was like, okay, everything is high risk at this point. So you need to really pace everything you do and not make any mistakes, because everything is at risk. So like I was like everything down to like I would, very like hold all the winch handles extra hard. I'm like, you have to really just slow everything down, stay calm, think things through, no rushing. And that's what I did all the way through until I got to Oahu. Um, what else? What else? Trying to see what's up in the comments over here. Somebody asked, when doing a long trip, do captains put down sails throughout a sinker and shut down and drift? I mean, I don't know why you would do that, because you're just going to extend your misery forever. The only time people really use a sea anchor, first of all, the motion of the boat is going to be absolutely terrible. When you drop the sails, the motion of the boat, it's like being like you're just thrown around with great violence. So the sails keep you stable, and also you don't ever want to lose forward motion, because sailing across an ocean is slow enough when you're going your maximum speed, which is like 5 miles an hour. So yeah, the only time people usually heave to is in really bad weather. Um, that's the only time I would never drop sails just to sleep. Thanks, Barbara. Have a good weekend. Yeah, I do get seasick. I did not get seasick on this last passage, but I've gotten so seasick in the past that I thought about getting all my sea tattoos removed. So yeah, I've definitely been gnarly seasick before. Somebody asks, when lying in bed, do you ever think about the vastness deep beneath you? Yeah, but it doesn't bother me. Like even when I was in the water, I'm like I was in 14,000 feet of water, and it doesn't. And like I was actually, I'm more comfortable 1,000 miles in all directions from land than I am like in half the social settings making small talk with people. What do I do every day? I wake up in the morning when at sea. I don't know if you're asking me when at sea or at. I pretty much do the same thing at sea as I do here. I get up in the mornings here. I get up, I make coffee, and I either write or edit for like pretty much 8 hours a day, unless I'm at an anchorage. And if I'm at an anchorage or underway adventuring, then I'm filming all day. And then in the evenings, I process video. In the mornings, I write and I edit video and I repeat over and over again. My life is very boring. I see beautiful things though. Um, my long hair does not bother me during passages at all. And no, I had like a shaved head most of my life, but at some point when I was living in LA, I decided I wanted to look like an extra on the Z Boys movie. So that's when I grew my hair out to look like a hair farmer. Carlos is asking about Koholina. Uh, they're very expensive. My friend Kimberly keeps her boat over there. It's really nice over there, but Carlos, like the Electric Beach Anchorage is right around the corner and it's free. So I did stop at Koholina and fuel up the other day though. Somebody, Nico asked how I felt when my rudder busted. Was I nervous? Yeah, I was for sure nervous. I mean, I was basically adrift for 3 days before I worked out before I settled on having to do the drogue. Um, yeah, I was afraid I was going to lose my boat, because it was pointing straight for Antarctica. I was like, oh, if I can't figure out how to steer this thing, then the only option is to call for rescue. And when a boat picks me up, I have to sink my boat. So I was very nervous about that. What is my book about? The book is about the passage and about my the collapse of my marriage, the sudden and abrupt end of my marriage. I found myself standing in rubble while on the eve of pursuing my greatest life dreams. And then I had, decided to sail to Hawaii. And then halfway to Hawaii, I lost all steerage. So that's what the book is about. But it also goes into depth about a variety of other things. But that's the basis of the book. The book I'm writing now, and I'm 20,000 words in currently. I'll probably write 80,000 words total for that book. I have two other books right now that I'm working on: the passage blogs and the cruising guide for Southern California's islands. Those should be out by the end of the year. Yeah, someone said, yeah, you have to sink your boat because it's a danger to other vessels navigating the waters. So if you just leave it adrift, the Coast Guard ask you to cut like your cockpit hoses and open all the sea cocks and let the boat sink. So yeah, and as far as the book I was just talking about, I'm actually going to hire a literary agent and try to get into one of the big publishing houses because um, I'm a better writer than I am a filmmaker, and I've been writing for a long time. So um, I think that it has all the elements for a story that a lot of people would read, especially seeing how people reacted to the passage video. I definitely think that that'll be a way for me it'll be leverage for me to like talk to to get a publishing agent to kind of help me get a deal. That's the hope anyway. And if I don't get a deal, then I'll just self-publish like I did my other books, which I'm not. I have like no ego attached to it either way. As long as I can get the story out, I'm happy to share it, even if I don't make much money on it. But obviously, I'd rather more people see it and read it than just what I could do self-publishing. um, Someone said, "Why didn't I fish for food while you're out at sea?" I haven't eaten fish in 30 something years, and I decided a long time ago when I started cruising, I would start eating fish. So I tried to fish. I just don't know what I'm doing yet, and so that's what happened in that tuna scene. But being a responsible captain, I didn't want to waste all of my lures because in case I needed them later for an emergency. Access Media, TJF, aloha. Um, what else? Those tuna were so crazy. That scene was so nuts, man. Just a sec. Flying fish jump on the boat all the time, and like it's funny because originally I was like, and like I don't even care if I get shit for it. Like I'm very tender-hearted, so my thing is like the reason I haven't started eating fish yet is I believe that for me I need to catch and kill the fish, the first fish that I eat, because if I'm not willing to kill it, I don't believe I have the right to eat it. Um, so it's like a ritual thing almost that I feel like I need to go through to start eating fish again. But I told myself, like, oh, if the big flying fish ends up on deck, then you can cook that and eat that one first. And a big one ended up on deck in the middle of the night, and I have video of it, but I didn't have the heart to like kill him, so I like threw him back overboard. So I'm getting there. It's gonna take me a minute, but I love animals. So what am I gonna do? But I am gonna start eating fish for sure. It just makes sense. Um, I didn't see any sharks. I've seen white sharks between Catalina and LA many times, that I didn't see any on this passage. Um, but yeah, the that marlin, man. I tell you what, when I was filming that, I don't know if I've talked about this much. When I when the tuna first happened, I put my hand in the water with the camera and I couldn't see anything I was filming. So I would just point it in directions and count to 10 and hope I was getting good shots. So I knew something was chasing them, but I didn't know what. And then I saw a big flash of like white and I thought it was a shark. I was like, pulled my hand out and I like looked and looked and I climbed up on the Dodger and looked down until I saw that it was a marlin. I was like, okay. And then I felt better having my hand in the water filming all this chaos. But a couple of those shots of the marlin, like chasing him, I didn't even know I was getting because I hadn't even seen him. It was just by chance. Somebody asked if I can live from the money I make. Very, very simply, if nothing breaks on the boat. I make less than $1,000 a month on Patreon, so I have a very, very limited Patreon following. Um, so between that and my savings, I just kind of like coast. But and I mentioned earlier, I'm going to LA in January to do a big job, and I'll make like $3,500 on one job, and that'll help a lot with the cruising kitty and my savings. Somebody's asking about the shipping fee for Triteia to Hawaii, from Hawaii to LA. I'm not shipping the boat. I'm keeping it here and fixing it here and selling to the South Pacific. So what work would you do? I'm a fabricator in Los Angeles for like props and sets for Old Navy and Target and Levi's and stuff. Basically anything they can dream up, we build. I'm not sure my next destination yet. It all depends on what's open come time to push off. My next destination here is Kaneohe on the east side, the windward side of Oahu. Um, Someone asked if I've sailed in freezing conditions. I have not. Um, I have a forced diesel air heater I put on my boat because I was planning on going to Alaska, but that things changed and I was unable to go to Alaska. Um, um, asked me asking what marina I plan to do the work. I'm going to try to drop the rudder with it in the water because that'll save me $600. It's like $600 per fly out. If I can drop the rudder in the water, and then I'm either going to rebuild the rudder here or I'll take it back with me to LA and rebuild it because I have access to crazy equipment in shops in LA. I think it'll be easier just to do it here, but I have to find a workshop to do it in. So there's a lot to still figure out, but that won't happen until, what is this, October 22nd? It won't happen until December is probably when I'm going to try to pull the rudder. Someone asked from Local 44. No, I would guess that's a union. I'm not in any union. I'm just a hobo that has a master's captain's license. I have the planer heater, forced air heater. You can find out the slip fees for Alawai on their website. What else? Good night, Connor. Thanks for your donation, and I'll look you up when I get to Ireland eventually. What else? You guys have any more questions? Somebody said the skate spot. Wallows. Yes, I was stoked, but you know what? My hip is still destroyed from that slam at the skate park. Like, still limping from that. Hello from Tampa. Someone says they're a luau I need to be getting to soon. The Hilton has I always laugh. I always they do fire stuff every night, and you can hear them beating drums. I always say that natives are restless. It's right by the harbor here. Someone asked, how do I keep track of all the people I meet and the fans that want to meet? It's very tricky. It's less tricky here. I don't have as many fans in Hawaii. In Southern California, like when I went to Marina del Rey, there were 30 people that came by the boat the first day, and I had my tracker off, so I thought I was coming in under the radar. In Hawaii, not a lot of people know me, so not a lot. I probably only had about 10 people recognize me and talk to me here in Hawaii, so it's more low key out here. But usually, it's hard for me to remember people unless I see their boat or meet them in person. No, I don't have any videos of that crazy foggy night. It's hard. And then somebody else mentioned something about there's no footage from you at night. It's all black. Literally, my camera's a GoPro. It's just black. There's nothing to film at nighttime. You know what I mean? In the past, I've done some stuff where I shine a red light on me and talk, but I talk enough during the daytime. So, yeah, and trying to fit in so much footage into a short period of time, it was tricky enough just doing daylight stuff. Carlos, yeah, there's not been any fireworks here. My friend Kimberly saw some over at Koholina, but not here. I'm going to stay solo. I will not be picking up any crew. I wouldn't mind sailing between islands with people that I'm close with, that I'm friends with, but my boat is very small, and yeah, I'll be solo all the way. Somebody's asking again, I'm going to be in Hawaii until April. Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, there's a little bit of that concern. And that's why I thought if I turned off the tracker when I went to Marina del Rey, that I would be okay. But there, the boat's very recognizable. And so am I, unfortunately. Yeah, out here, I haven't had any issues, but I think that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is a concern, obviously, that people can know where I am, wherever, whenever. But I just kind of roll the dice with it because so many people have told me that they loved the tracker and like they were really like they like really loved watching the tracker and watching me move and like seeing everything happen in real time and the blog posts and stuff. So I think that it's worth the sort of like weird risk of like my privacy for what people get out of it. The stars are crazy at night at sea. Nico is asking. Thank you, Riley. Appreciate it. It's going to go straight to the rudder. Somebody asked about amateur radio. No, I have Iridium Go, so I don't have an SSB on my boat. Access Media is saying the tracker and the blog post are gold for new sailors like me. That's good to hear. That's awesome. Also, I've been like trying to make a point to sit down and add info about anchorages in Navionics for future sailors. Seems like not a lot of people do that. So I've been trying to like get it, like once I've been to a place, I try to take a minute once I'm tied up somewhere and go in and fill in the info about anchorages that I've been to. No, I do not smoke weed. What else? What else? It's about time to wrap it up. I need to make dinner. Maybe I'll have this curry for dinner. Somebody said, what is the best way to make transition from sailing dinghies to larger vessels? I mentioned this earlier, but I have a video on my channel called Actual Attainable Adventure Cruising. Go watch that video. I talk about a bunch of ways that you can find your way onto boats, whether you have no money or a lot of money, mostly like for people that are like financially challenged, like myself. And I talk about how I went about getting on boats when I didn't know anybody that had boats and I wanted to go sailing. So go watch that video, and it talks a lot about how you can get onto boats. So yeah, I'm gonna tap out and make dinner. Thanks so much, you guys, hanging out. We've been hanging out 2.5 hours. This has really been fun, and I appreciate it. What else? Thanks for the offer of the tools in LA. You guys take care, and I appreciate it. And thanks for all the donations. It's all going straight to the Rudder Fund. The donations from the premiere I put into savings. It's going straight to the Rudder Fund as well. And really appreciate it. And everybody who watched the film, just you watching it, like gave ad revenue. Oh, Samantha, thank you. So sweet. Just you guys watching it, like gave so much ad revenue that has gone to, that's going to go to help repair the rudder. So like, you guys are the reason that this is going to get done, because like I said before, like I left LA with $1,000 in savings. It's not like I had like, I put all my money into refitting the boat. So, I was kind of in a rock and a hard place. So thanks so much for everything. And thanks for hanging out with me for 2.5 hours. This has been awesome. And I love you guys. And keep like hitting me up on the channel. Give us likes and comments on the episodes I get coming up with Sarah, and then my future anchor episodes here in Oahu, which I can't wait for you guys to see how beautiful it is here. And we're taking the Good Ship Triteia out, even though she's a trooper. We got her temporary repair, and she's seeing the islands because ain't nobody gonna break our stride. You know what I mean? All right, guys. Thanks so much, and peace out.